These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. You know what's really terrifying? That unfinished college degree lurking in the background, just sitting there, waiting for you. That's where Southern New Hampshire University comes in. With flexible online degree programs, there's no commuting, no rigid schedule, and no more excuses. Plus, they have some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. Visit snhu.edu/morbid to learn more before your degree becomes just another story about what could have been. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, weirdos. I'm Elena.
I'm Ash.
And this is Morbid.
I don't know, it just felt a little unhinged. I mean, what else is new?
I was going to say, wow, weird.
Yeah, I just got Subway.
She did. It was a break from the norm.
I haven't had Subway in like 10 years at least.
I know, I haven't had Subway in a long time.
Yeah, like possibly 15 years.
It wasn't even a choice. It just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wanted a tuna fish sandwich real bad.
Yeah, and it's real tuna, apparently.
It is. Elena tried to tell me that it wasn't. She was like, it's not real tuna. And I was like, oh my God. And then I Googled it, and it turns out there was a lawsuit back in the day.
Yeah.
People was trying to say, it's not real tuna. It is.
Yeah, I became the internet for a second, and I was like, let me just spout something that's complete bullshit with nothing to back it up.
She said she was just testing me to do my own research.
I was like, I wanted you to check.
So yeah, I did my own research, and it turns out, survey says
it's real tuna.
Y'all. It was good. It slapped.
I'm glad it slapped for you.
That was my lunch.
I like that for you.
Thanks.
I had some cottage cheese with garlic and some sun-dried tomato and basil wheat thins.
You have to say wheat thins.
Wheat thins. It was delicious. That wasn't like my lunch. That was just a snack.
Like a pre-lunch.
Yeah, pre-lunch appetizer.
We have an exciting thing happening today that we can't tell you yet.
I know, and my tummy's all jumbly for it.
So she didn't eat lunch. I said, are you going to eat something, bitch? And she said, I can't. I'm too excited.
But don't worry. You will find out what this thing is. And you will find out fairly soon, actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Hang tight.
There's a couple exciting
things I know we're
being
happening. Those annoying people who are like, we know something and you can't, but you will.
Sometimes it's fun.
I promise you.
Oh, I thought you were going to continue that sentence. No, I thought you were going,
just like,
I promise you.
No, I just meant like, I promise you, you'll find out.
Like, period.
Yeah.
You're funny.
Period.
So
we're going to be covering a case today that you might be like, wait a second. Did I see this before? You did.
You did.
But I want to cover it better.
We've grown.
We covered it a long time ago. It's no longer on there, but
This was one of the first ones.
yeah, this is one of the first ones. So, it's a case that deserves another look and a deeper dive. So
The Dave touch.
a little Dave touch to it. So we decided to revisit it. And it's also it happened in January, which
Oh, yeah.
we didn't even mean to do. But
I don't even know if I knew that.
We're fresh out of January right now.
Check it.
We are going to be covering the Black Dahlia murder, the murder of Elizabeth Short. So this case has so many layers to it. This is going to be a two-parter. It must be. It has to be.
It must.
It must be. I'm getting into my transatlantic accent because we're going to Hollywood, baby.
Hollywood?
Hollywood. We're going to Hollywood. And we're not in real life. I'm staying firmly planted over here. But yeah, this is a crazy case. It is the first case I can truly remember becoming unhinged obsessed with.
I remember that.
It was this and like Jack the Ripper that I really just could not stop. This one in particular, because I remember seeing, I believe it was one of those like True Hollywood stories or one of those like mysteries and scandals with AJ Benza.
They used to do the countdowns.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember it was one of those, I loved those. I loved AJ Benza. I don't know what he's up to now, if he's good or bad right now. I'm not up on it, and
I bet he's fine.
I hope.
I'm gonna Google it really fast
because like I have fond memories of that show and him.
What if I just Googled what's AJ Benza doing?
What's AJ Benza up to?
His real name's Alfred. That's crazy.
Good for him. Good for Alfred.
He's just like doing poker.
Okay, so is he just
Poker podcast?
Is he kind of just like quietly existing?
It's not a podcast. Yeah, it
Good
sounds
for
like
him.
he's chilling.
Okay,
Oh,
you know
bitch,
what?
he plays for the.
He plays.
He plays harmonica.
Wow,
That's
look
what
at
he's
him.
doing.
All right, he's like Blues Traveler. So
Is this the AJ Benza? Am I correct? What if this is just like a random man?
I feel like that's AJ Benza.
Yeah, I think so.
He has that vibe.
AJ Benza, what are you doing? What are you up to?
When I mentioned him, I was like, you always got to be careful to be like, oh, fuck.
These days.
Because you don't want the only thing for anyone to hear out of this is AJ Benza if he's a bad guy.
And you're right. It was Mysteries and Scandals.
Mysteries and Scandals. I remember it was like, he was the host, and I remember him standing on a very rain-sodden sidewalk.
Yes.
It was dark. There was lots of fog around him at all times, and he would walk out and start telling you the story. And
Oh my God.
Right?
Bro, I can...
Can't you see it?
No, not only can I see that, I can see the point of view, like watching the TV from your bed.
Oh my God,
That's
yes.
what in the purple walls.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See? It has a special place in my heart.
Core memories.
And I remember seeing the Black Dahlia case, and I remember them showing some version. I don't know if my mind is like twisting
No,
this
it's
somehow.
not, because I remember it too.
Some version, maybe it was a sketch or something of her autopsy photo.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Because I remember seeing the Glasgow smile. I remember seeing that vividly. And I remember that being the point when I said, what? Like, I was like, what, somebody did that to someone else?
I feel like they show, not like obviously like an overhead shot, but they show part of the
crime scene.
The crime scene.
Yeah, it's like it's that
From the
classic
grass.
photo where it looks, the crime scene looks like there is a mannequin laying in the grass.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to get into the specifics of this because it was not a bloody crime scene. She was drained of blood. In part 2, we will get into all the theories. We're going to talk about who we think did it. We're going to talk about, a lot of the people that they were going after for suspects. So don't worry, we'll get more into that. And I think in part 2, too, we'll kind of go through even more of some of the nuances of this stuff. But right now, we're going to tell you about Elizabeth Short. I'm going to tell you about the crime scene. I'm going to tell you about how she was found. And we'll get a little bit into some of the suspects.
All right, let's do it.
So strap in. AJ Benza, I hope you're listening.
Oh my God, hi, AJ Benza.
Oh my God, hi,
I don't
AJ
think he
Benza.
has a poker podcast, by the way. I said that wrong. It's a poker show.
Oh, okay. Good for him, man.
Yeah, just before anybody corrects
Yeah,
me.
you don't
I
wanna
read
get-
wrong, okay?
Yeah, I'm
It
wrong.
it was live reading.
Yeah, we're live Googling right now.
Yes.
we're taking us back to a cool and very overcast day, January 15th, 1947.
All right.
This is when Betty Bersinger and her 3-year-old daughter Anne left the house for a nice little morning walk.
Just a stroll.
Yeah, just a stroll. So the Lamert Park area of Los Angeles, which is just 5 miles south of Hollywood, was a very newly developed and planned community, and there were still a lot of vacant lots in it. They were along Norton Avenue, and people would use these vacant lots a lot of the time because people are always going to people.
Oh, yeah.
To dump garbage, other stuff, you know, like
rude.
just be the dumb part of people.
Yeah.
So when Betty caught sight of a pale white thing in the tall grass in the empty lot, she thought, oh, someone left a broken tailor's mannequin
Yeah.
in the lot rather than just
understand.
getting rid of it properly. You know, it was just one of those things that she kind of walked by and was like, oh, like, can people stop peopling, please?
Yeah. She was like, oh my God, put your trash in the garbage.
Exactly. But then Betty got closer to the object, which was just a few inches from the edge of the sidewalk. If you have ever seen the crime scene photos or anything like that or been to that area, you know that she was right up out in the open.
To think that she was with her 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Worst nightmare. Worst
shakes
nightmare.
me to my core.
Yeah.
And I mean, Elizabeth's body was right on the grass next to the sidewalk. I mean, all of it was intentional. And she immediately realized she was not looking at a mannequin at all, but a horrifically mutilated body of a young woman who had been bisected at the waist. Mm-hmm. I think that's what initially really drew me to this case, like made me just like morbidly fascinated and absolutely horrified by this case, was just the extent of the mutilation that was done to this woman.
Yeah.
I could not conceive of it. I still can't conceive of it.
It's beyond.
Really. It's even to this day, it stays as one of the most horrific cases of mutilation.
Oh, yeah.
You can conjure. Now, at the sight of this poor woman's absolutely mangled body, Betty immediately grabbed her daughter and ran for the nearest phone. And she called the University Division of the LAPD and reported what she had seen. Now, she was fully panicked, obviously, and absolutely horrified, going through complete shock. So she didn't, like, adequately describe what she found. Like, she wasn't able to convey it in a way that it would be a little understandable.
How would you?
So the communications officer on the other end noted that it was a, quote, possible 390, which is a stuporous drunk, down in the lot at 39th and Norton Avenue.
It's like, dude, why would she be that horrified if it was just a drunk person stumbling around?
That's the thing. Like, I'm like, I feel like even if you note that as like, I think this is what she said, you should be like, but she sounds really upset. So it could be.
Get there fast.
There's other things going on here. Now, whether because of confusion or poor communication, the officer also neglected to get the caller's name or phone number. So didn't know her name was Betty, didn't know how to contact her after that.
Oof.
I don't really know why. Maybe because they were thinking it was like a stuporous drunk situation.
Maybe so like first day on the job type vibes.
Very first day
Training.
on the job.
Training, and their overseer was like in the bathroom.
A lot of this scene was manhandled in a very bad way, which I think led to the reason why we don't have definitive things even today.
Yeah, it was the opposite of a bang-up job.
Yeah, not great at all. In fact, it was going to be a full 10 days before investigators were able to track Bersinger down through notices in the papers. Like, they couldn't find her anywhere. So all they had was that initial call, and then that was it. So they just came up upon it and were like, oh, okay.
Jesus.
Like, now, expecting to find someone sleeping off a night of drinking in a lot, the dispatcher sent a single patrol call to investigate the call. And countless journalists and press photographers had heard the call go out over the police radios that they all kept in their cars. So they all kind of followed just to see if there was any story there.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Examiner reporter Will Fowler and his partner Felix Pagel were the first to arrive at the scene before the LAPD had arrived.
Oh, shit.
So the journalists arrived before the police.
And y'all know how that goes.
Yeah.
That's
And
never good.
They were shocked because Fowler said there's something about a dead body you couldn't mistake. It's difficult to describe two parts of a body as being one. However, both halves were facing upwards. Oh. Her arms were extended above her head. Her translucent blue eyes were half opened, so I closed her eyelids.
Oh.
Now, that's really sweet.
Don't touch a dead body.
Why the fuck did you touch a dead body?
Yeah. Don't be the hero.
I'm sorry. Beautiful. Beautiful sentiment. Love that for you, that you were trying to be respectful. Here's my thing to everybody. Don't fucking touch a dead body if you find it.
Don't touch a dead body for a myriad of reasons. Don't get your fucking fingerprints on a dead body. Hello?
You don't disturb that.
No.
Don't disturb the scene. You don't know anything about what's going on here. You don't know if something was injected into her eyes. You don't know if something was put in. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So just...
Sweet boy.
Don't touch...
Sweet
Again,
boy.
The sentiment... Love it.
He was an
respectful, very empathetic. I wanted to close her eyes. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't involve yourself.
Now, the patrol officers arrived a few moments later and quickly called the division to let them know, no, it was not a drunk sleeping off a night of drinking in a vacant lot, but a horribly mutilated dead woman. Thank you for fucking that up on the highest level you possibly could.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know how, I don't know the procedural for this, but I'm assuming you would probably send a different set of officers for those two things.
Yeah,
right?
I would think so.
Right, yeah.
Like, you're not sending the homicide division to a sleeping drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's it's, I'm just a little confused. And again, I've never been in this situation, how the person on the other end confused what she said so hard.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the amount of anxiety and panic in her voice, I feel like you would question. She's not going to be that upset about a drunk sleeping. It's like, I don't know. I feel like there should have been a little, maybe, I don't know if she hung up quickly and maybe they couldn't get anything else. I don't know. But I'm like, wow, this game of telephone busted up right away.
Yeah.
The news, of course, brought more reporters, and soon the crime scene was absolutely overtaken by reporters, photographers, additional LAPD officers.
Probably just
but it was just
onlookers.
chaos.
Yeah.
Just chaos.
Of course.
And in order to keep as many people as they could out of the crime scene now, detectives told patrol officers and some of the reporters at this point, because they needed however many people they could, to make a human chain around the perimeter to keep people out.
Dear God.
But by this point, the scene had been absolutely trampled by so many people coming and going. And honestly, it remained open to the press long after investigators left as well.
Wow.
So whatever evidence was maybe there, totally tainted.
And again, this is 1947.
Exactly.
So there's not a lot of evidence to begin with.
Exactly.
Most likely.
And it's like, after investigators left, that scene should have been cordoned off.
Yep.
And somebody should have been stationed there.
Yep.
And that way they can go back to the scene. If they need to, if something comes up, you go, wait, let's get back to that scene and take a look again.
Yeah.
And they didn't do any of that. So people were just trampling right through it right after they left.
It's like, guys, what were you thinking?
I don't get it at all.
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal. That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health, so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
It was common for murder victims to be dumped in various locations, like the lot where Elizabeth Short was found, especially around Los Angeles. It was just, just the area. But from the moment investigators arrived at the scene, it was clear that this was not their run of the mill.
No. This was for show.
There was a lot here. It was definitely not the killer trying to get rid of this body quickly.
No.
That is for sure. Like, this was not like, I just have to remove myself from this situation.
Shock factor.
They had arranged Elizabeth Short's body in a very particular way and had chosen a location where she would 100% be discovered very quickly. Like, very quickly. This was, and the way she was arranged, like the two halves of her body were placed close to one another with about 12 inches between them. And the upper half was placed somewhat asymmetrically from the lower half, like a little bit to the side.
Okay.
And her arms were raised above her head, and both of them were bent.
Okay.
At an angle, very much so like you were posing for a photograph.
Right. That makes sense.
She was also completely nude. But it was very much like she was posing, like you would lay on a bed to pose for a photograph. Like,
yeah.
You know, like you would see in a magazine at the time,
right.
like a spicy magazine.
Risque.
You know? So it was very clear that they were trying to pose her in a way that it would shock, and in a way that they were definitely trying to send a message, either about who they believed she was or about something else outside of her.
Something in their pathology.
Exactly. The level of violence that the victim had been subjected to, I mean, it exceeded what most veteran law enforcement officers and on the LAPD had ever seen or would ever see.
Really saying something.
Yes. Detective P.W. Freestone told reporters at the scene, "This is the most brutal example of a sex crime I have ever seen." She had been cleanly, and when I say cleanly, I mean cleanly bisected at the waist. Which is shockingly cleanly.
Absolutely insane.
Yes. Whoever had done this, it felt like they had access to the type of tools required to do that in a surgical setting.
Yeah.
This is kind of like when I go back to like Jack the Ripper. Don't worry, I'll talk about the DNA soon. Thank you for tagging me and everything. But this is kind of what I say with Jack the Ripper, that I don't think, like, it's hard to understand how difficult it is to cut parts of the human body cleanly.
Yeah, I can
if you
imagine.
haven't tried to cut human body parts cleanly.
Can confidently say I've never tried.
Yeah. So it's like, if you have not been in a profession where you have done that,
yeah,
or been around that, it's a little hard to wrap your brain around.
It is, absolutely.
Especially if you've only seen it in like TV and all that kind of stuff in movies. So like with Jack the Ripper, I was always saying, I do believe this person has medical knowledge, because to be able to do that stuff in the dark, in the light, it would take somebody who knows where these organs are.
Yeah.
And then to do it in the dark.
It's like muscle memory.
Just feels like you have to know precisely where these things are. It's kind of the same thing here. This isn't somebody who just happened to figure out how to cleanly bisect a body. No. They knew how to do it. And they knew how to do it because they know where things are, because they are medically trained. That's how I believe this situation is going here.
I think you're right.
And there's also other parts of it that lead to that too, which we'll get to. There was also, and this is my next point here, there was a lack of blood at the scene. And it indicated, obviously, that this mutilation had occurred elsewhere and that she was likely killed elsewhere. But her body had also been completely drained of blood.
That is one of the factors about this case that always has stayed with me.
Yeah. Completely drained of blood.
And it's just like, why?
That's the thing. And I think it was...
Why could take you down so many different pathways.
Yes. I think it very much, to me, is another point in the column of this was a surgeon.
Yeah.
To
me, it feels like somebody experimenting with things that they had knowledge of, obviously, but experimenting to a degree.
And just doing the most.
Yeah.
Almost like showing off their skills. Because it's like you have to have knowledge of like vessels and, you know, the vascular system to know how to properly drain a body of blood.
You're right.
You also have to know how to do it, where to do it. You have to have the space to do it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, certain people that are suspects in this case have really big houses with basements.
Do you know off the top of your head how many liters of blood, like, obviously I'm sure it varies, but like an adult body would have?
I'm fairly certain it's 5, like a little over 5. Perhaps it's like somewhere around that.
Okay.
I lost like a ton of blood when I had my twins. I had to
Yeah.
get like 2 transfusions. I think I lost like 2 liters of blood. So that's the only reason it's stuck in my head. How many?
To think of a body completely drained of blood, because
Yes.
I saw you obviously in the hospital after you had gotten the transfusion, so all your blood was back. But
Yeah.
you looked. I remember. I will never forget pulling a nurse aside and being like, "Is she like gonna make it? Like, is she okay?"
I was like gray.
So I can't. You were literally gray.
Yeah.
Like I've never understood what people meant when they say somebody's gray
You're like there
until
was.
that moment. But to see somebody completely
Yeah.
drained of blood, like.
And to think about the procedure and the process of that.
Yeah, I can't
Because normally
go that far.
to do that, it means I apologize for getting
It's
graphic
graphic.
here, but it's really all I can do. Normally to do that, you're going to hang the person upside down to allow all the blood to drain out, just gravity. You're not just going to sit them in a bathtub or anything like that and let you really need some gravity to help you out here.
Yeah.
To drain somebody completely. Usually it's like hanging them up over something.
Would you assume that would have happened after she was bisected?
I would assume yes.
Right. Because then.
I would assume, yeah, because that's the easiest way to
hang
do it,
two
because you've got
halves.
2 halves
Which is awful.
that are less blood in each to drain at once, kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's less. And again, we're getting graphic here, but here you are. You clicked on this, damn it.
It's less messy.
Yeah, it's just, and it's less less of a distance for the blood to travel to
Right.
drain out of the body.
Right.
Because you're cutting
It's all right there.
the travel in half, essentially. So this would have to be somebody who has the capability of doing all of that.
Right. Which is not your average Joe.
Which is not just your guy on the street who was mad that she didn't date him. You know what I mean? Like, which is what they were really like
Yeah.
going with for a while. I'm like, I don't think any of these fucking dickwads that were just like being assholes to her are really
Right.
capable of all this.
And again, this wasn't a day and age where you could just like extensively look something up like that
No.
online. I mean, obviously there were textbooks and that kind of thing, but even then I would assume the resources on something like bisecting somebody and draining somebody of blood would be pretty limited.
I think it's pretty safe to say that this person already had the knowledge
Yeah.
because they had possibly gone to school
Right.
to get this knowledge.
And possibly, maybe not the bisecting, but I don't know. You almost assume that this person has done something like this before for it to come out that cleanly.
Yeah, you do feel it. You get the sense that this is not the first go.
Even if maybe on some kind of cadaver in the learning process. I don't
For
know
sure.
if that's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, like this person, and I mean, if they're, again, this is speculation, obviously, but like if this is a surgeon who
Yeah.
did this, then it's like they've performed clean cuts on the
Right.
human body. Like obviously that kind of cut is like a very specific kind of cut. But who knows? It's like that it's similar to other things. So amputations can be similar.
All right,
But-
side tangent aside.
Yeah. The victim had also been beaten for about the face and head. There was a ton of lacerations, especially on her face and head. And the thing that I think a lot of people really remember about this case, including myself, is that her killer had cut her mouth from ear to ear, creating a Glasgow smile, a permanent, really ghoulish looking grin on her face, essentially.
One of the most disturbing aspects of this case.
It's a very, very disturbing thing to look at. It's horrifying. That's why like this is such a ghoulish crime scene because it's like there's so much shock to this crime scene. One, she's nude. Two,
posed
she's
suggestively.
bisected. She's been posed with her body in the right place, you know what I mean? Placements.
Yep.
But like away from each other to like showcase that she's 2 halves of a whole.
And even again, like
But like a little
off-center.
to the side with her arms up like she's posing for a photo. And then to see how horrifically she was beaten and cut and all kinds of things. But also she's got this ghoulish smile on her face, that the permanent smile that has been chopped into her face. It's beyond. It's
is.
really beyond
It
anything
is.
you've ever seen. There was also a ton of superficial cuts and scrapes, other parts of her body, and there also appeared to be ligature marks on her neck, wrists, and ankles. Now, this is kind of important in kind of something that you can take in many different ways. Obviously, it could mean that she was bound when she was alive and was being restrained, which I fully believe can be the case and probably was the case. But this could also be one of those things where you say, okay, is that where she was hung upside down to be drained of blood?
That would leave ligature marks too.
That would leave ligature marks somewhere. I mean, her neck was also had ligature marks as well, which to me says it was part of like a torture or restraining.
Yeah.
But it also can have to do with being hung upside down, if that's the case, if that's how it went.
Yeah.
If you think too hard about all these things all at once and you start thinking about what was happening during all this, it can like fuck you up. Like it's just like thinking about what she went through.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how long she was going through this.
That's one of the things that I think about the most is that it had to have been like hours and hours and hours, if not days.
Yeah, it's like it feels like it was at least hours and hours for sure. So police ended up fanning out, started combing the lot for any evidence they could get. But there was really little to be found. What they did collect, some of it was like a paper cement bag with what they thought was small drops of diluted blood on it.
Okay.
Investigators theorized that these cement bags were what were used to carry both sections of her body to this area. There was also tire tracks visible on the sidewalk and a slightly bloody heel print of a man's shoe. This is good evidence.
Yeah.
But according to former detective Steve Hodel, which becomes a very important member of this case.
And we just talked about him in the Rodney Alcala case.
We did. According to him, quote, these two important pieces of evidence were not secured or photographed by the on-scene detectives.
There's no scenario where that makes sense.
There are tire tracks and a shoe print.
Why would you not photograph
And they were not photographed or secured.
No.
Like,
bizarre.
Those are important pieces of evidence. Mm-hmm.
Those could be the most important.
Yeah. Like, you can genuinely narrow down a suspect with that shit. You can tell what kind of tire that is, what kind of car it comes from. You could tell what that shoe is, what kind of shoe that is, how many have been sold in the area. You can tell all that shit.
Yeah, lots.
But we're just, like, LAPD.
Yeah.
Come on.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? But other than that, there was really nothing else of note at the scene and no means of identifying this body. So she ended up being labeled at first Jane Doe number 1 and transported to the coroner's office. The next morning, an autopsy was conducted by Dr. Frederick Newbar, who was the chief autopsy surgeon for the county of Los Angeles. Newbar listed the cause of death as, quote, hemorrhage and shock from a concussion of the brain and lacerations of her face.
My God.
They believed that was all inflicted while she was conscious, which means that Glasgow smile was inflicted while she was conscious and alive.
And those were deep cuts.
Yeah.
Think about like...
Oh, it tore open her whole face. When you looking from the side, it's like her jaw has been removed almost.
That's horrific.
And it's hemorrhage and shock from that, which is one of the most horrific things I can imagine.
She died in shock from bleeding out.
From having her face ripped open. Yeah. There was an additional incision from just below the navel to just above the pubic area and several smaller cuts and small bruises all over the body that were likely defensive wounds. So she was fighting back for part of this.
I'm sure.
There was also evidence suggesting that Elizabeth had been sexually assaulted, but samples taken during the autopsy came back negative for the presence of sperm.
Got it.
Newbar estimated the time of death to be somewhere within a 24-hour window before the body was discovered. But he couldn't be more precise than that because, I mean,
there was a lot.
This body's drained of blood.
Right.
And has been mutilated in a way I can't even fathom. Of particular note, though, at least from Newbar's perspective, was how precise the bisection was, like we were talking about. In fact, it looked like it was actually what's called a hemicorporectomy, which is, at this time in the 40s, a relatively new surgical procedure that came into use after World War II. And it involved removing everything below the waist from a surviving person. As far as Newbar could tell, the procedure had been done after death on this victim, who we now know as Elizabeth Short. And the precision with which it had been done really suggested that the killer, or at least the person who performed the bisection postmortem,
because it could be two different people,
had some experience with medicine and surgery. Newbar also noted that the body appeared to have been thoroughly washed before it had been left in the lot.
Which, that's always so creepy to me.
It says surgeon to me.
Yeah.
Because everything is clean. You have a clean field. He's not going to go through all of that to drain blood and to bisect in such a clean way and then leave it messy.
Yeah.
It's just not something that I see happening. This hemacorporectomy that he's talking about would be performed like it's like a radical surgery. Like it is like last resort, like all you have left kind of thing. And what you have to do is you have to cut between two specific lumbar vertebrae that makes it so that you don't have to cut bone.
Okay.
And they have to like reroute the spinal cord essentially. And they have to reroute because you're removing the genitalia, you're removing any of, the rectum, all that stuff. So you're going to have to reroute everything. Many different things for a living person.
Right.
It's a very intense procedure, a very complicated procedure. And again, this person cut in the same spot that you cut for this specific procedure so that they didn't have to cut through a bone.
Which is strange.
And I'm telling you, you open up a body and you take a look at that spinal cord. It is not as simplistic as you think it's going to be to just chop through between.
This part of the show is brought to you by Anua, the Korean skincare brand known for scientific, gentle, yet effective formulations. The latest from Anua is the Retinol Collagen Gua Sha Cream, a firming cream with a gua sha-shaped tip built right in. Have you guys heard of gua sha? It's that viral massage tool that moves fluid and tension out of your face. Less puffiness, a snatched jawline, honey, more definition in your face. Retinol firms and reduces fine lines, and collagen keeps your skin plump and structured. This cream has both of those things, arguably the most optimal combo for that snatched, lifted look all in one step. I am obsessed with the Gua Sha cream. First of all, it feels so cool to the touch. When you put that on your face, it's just like, this is lovely. It's like a little spa treatment that you can give yourself. I like to do mine at night after I get out of the shower. I rub the cream on my face with the little gua sha. I'm sculpting that jawline, honey. I got it on the cheekbones. And actually, I had a facial the other day, and the lady doing my facial, the professional, she said, "Do you use a gua sha at home?" And I said, "I do." And I said, "How did you know that?" And she said, "I didn't have those little like bumps in my chin or like different areas like that." So she could tell that I was using the gua sha. And I said, "Oh my God." I just feel like I wake up less puffy in the morning when I do it the night before. But you can do it whenever you want to. I, 10 out of 10, recommend this product. The Anua Gua Sha Cream Value Set is available at anua.com, already discounted. Use code MORBID for an extra 10% off. That's ANUA.com, code MORBID. This is a paid ad by BetterHelp. I happen to be somebody that struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of times I will build things up and up and up and up and up and then kind of get to the point where I'm like, I need to let this out to this person. Even in 2026, that stigma and just stigma in general can get in the way of a lot of things, like getting support for your mental health. Maybe you've encouraged friends to consider therapy while avoiding taking that first step yourself because you're busy. You're worried about what other people might think, or telling yourself that you should handle this all alone. But therapy with BetterHelp, the world's largest online therapy platform, can be a space to slow down and talk through what's been building before it feels unmanageable. Just take a short questionnaire to identify your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp will handle the initial therapist matching work for you. Their industry-leading match rate means BetterHelp typically gets it right the first time. Feel confident knowing BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. Don't let hesitation hold you back. Find support with BetterHelp. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/morbid. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/morbid.
Vertebrae. You know what I mean? So it's got to be someone who knows what they're doing and has seen this before. They didn't just open her up for the
And by
first time
chance.
and just figure it all out.
Right.
It's just not something they've opened people up before and they've seen what's going on.
Yeah.
It's I will die.
No
on
doubt
that
about
hill.
it.
Knowing the cause and estimated time of death was pretty important, but for investigators, they really wanted to know who this victim was. Like they were like, this is the most important. During the autopsy, fingerprints were taken and passed along to the main offices of the FBI. And in their coverage of the story the day after Short's body was discovered, the Los Angeles Examiner included a lengthy description of who the girl was. They were hoping someone would see this description of her, the physical description, and come forward. Among other things, though, the Examiner described her as between 15 and 16 years old. Nope.
Wrong.
With enameled pink toenails and a 3.5-inch operational scar on the right side of her back. She was also described as, quote, rather well developed with small bones and trim legs.
Okay.
I'm like, you want to
It's a weird way to describe
throw
what
any
you think.
other descriptors in there? I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to be like, well, my cousin does have trim legs.
Well, and also,
so
it's a
could be her.
weird way to describe someone you think is 15 or 16 years old.
with trim legs. It's very 40s.
Okay.
Very 40s.
Truly.
Fortunately for investigators, once the Identification Division of the Washington, D.C. office of the FBI got the photos of her fingerprints, they found a match within an hour. They identified Elizabeth Short from their card file of more than 104 million possible matches.
Wow.
Yeah. Short's fingerprints were on file because she had filled out an application for a clerk position at Camp Cook in 1943. And there was a second set of her prints on file from that same year after she was arrested on charges of, quote, violating juvenile court laws. So now this dead young woman that they thought was 15 or 16 years old, they found out was 22-year-old Elizabeth Short.
22.
22.
That is so young.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever hit me how young she
22.
was. For some reason, I always thought she was, I'm still a young person, obviously, but a little bit older. 22.
Yeah.
I think I'm also looking at it from a perspective of now being later in my 20s.
Exactly.
And I'm
Now
like,
you're older than her,
oh
so
my
now it's
God.
like, whoa.
You had barely
Yeah.
become an adult yet.
And she has lived
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, she had a tough
She
life,
had a
right?
tough stuff
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was struggling. Now, Elizabeth Short was born July 29th, 1924 in the Hyde Park neighborhood of Boston. Ken. Hyde Park, you say?
That's where the salon that I used to work at had its first ever location.
There you go. She's from our neck of the woods, Ken.
Boston.
She's a Boston gal. She was born to Cleo Alvin and Phoebe Short and raised in Medford.
Medford?
Medford, I said.
Wait, I'm going to Medford tonight.
Holy shit.
Get out of here.
Medford. Medford is a working class suburb about 10 miles outside of the city.
It's true.
It's true. We can confirm.
I was just going to say, can't confirm.
At the time of Elizabeth's birth, Cleo worked in construction, building miniature golf courses and, other kind of attractions like that.
I didn't know mini golf was a thing way back then.
Mini golf has been around since the dawn of time. We love to miniaturize things.
We do.
We do.
And I respect that out of
I
us.
also respect that. And when the stock market crashed in 1929, he became unfortunately unemployed and lost his savings.
Oh, God.
It was really bad for a lot of people. A year later, in 1930, Charlestown police found Alvin's car abandoned on a bridge, and he was believed to have taken his own life by drowning in the Charles River.
Ooh.
But a short time later, it was discovered that Cleo had faked his own death
Did
and
he
abandoned his family and moved to California.
Hate that.
Not great.
Hate that.
Not great.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
real fucking awful.
I feel like I forgot that.
Yeah.
There's so many parts of this case that you remember, and then there's so many little details that you're like, oh my God, do I
Yeah.
even remember that?
And Elizabeth was only about 6 years old when this happened.
Only
Old enough.
6, but old enough that you realize
Exactly.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
So this is a big traumatic event.
Fuck you, Cleo Alvin.
With Cleo gone, Phoebe Short became the sole provider for Elizabeth and her 4 sisters. And she was working as a bookkeeper. With only one income, the family struggled, but did manage to survive the Depression without an insane amount of hardship, at least.
Yeah.
She kept them afloat. During her childhood, Elizabeth began experiencing chronic bronchitis and severe asthma, which ultimately required lung surgery at age 15.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you remember, there was a scar mentioned by
was gonna
Newbar in the autopsy. That was from that surgery on her lungs.
Got it.
Following her surgery, the doctor suggested Elizabeth would be better off in warmer, drier climates. So she began spending her winter breaks in Miami with family friends.
Okay.
This was kind of like that TB thing, like the tuberculosis thing, where they thought, like, we just stick you out, on a balcony and you'll get fresh air, like that kind of thing. It is better for your lungs. After 3 years of wintering in Miami, Elizabeth dropped out of Medford High School during her sophomore year and moved to Miami Beach. And she quickly found work as a waitress. On her own for the first time, she struck up a relationship with Major Matt Gordon Jr., who was an Air Force pilot stationed at a nearby base. A short time later, in January of 1943, Gordon was shipped overseas, and Elizabeth decided to relocate to California, where she wanted to live with her father in Vallejo.
Oh, so they reconnected.
They reconnected. It was during this period that Elizabeth worked as a clerk at Camp Cook. That's where the fingerprints came from. But her relationship with her father quickly became very strained.
Oh.
And within a few weeks, she decided to move to Santa Barbara.
Oh, wow. Just weeks.
Yeah. Her father told a reporter after Elizabeth's death, "I made her leave. I didn't want anything to do with her or any of the rest of the family again."
Huh.
You're an asshole.
That's wild to say.
That's just like, you're a wild asshole.
That's wild to say ever. That's wild to say after your daughter's death. And that's wild to say after your daughter's gruesome death.
Yeah, murder.
Murder, exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Can you imagine?
No.
I didn't want anything to do with my child again or any of the rest of my family. My other four daughters who are living on the other coast.
That's so fucked. You should have thought about that before you had a family.
That's like wild douche behavior.
Truly.
It was there in Santa Barbara that she was arrested for violating juvenile court laws when she was picked up for underage drinking at a Santa Barbara nightclub. During her hearing, the judge agreed to sentence her with probation, provided that Elizabeth accept a train ticket and return home to Medford, Massachusetts, and she agreed.
Okay.
So she agreed to return to her mother in Massachusetts, but instead she chose to go to Florida. Once she was settled in Florida, she resumed her correspondence with Matt Gordon, the Air Force pilot, and in 1945, Gordon supposedly proposed they marry when he returned home from active duty, and despite only having met him in person a few times, Elizabeth accepted. It was Lerv. Unfortunately, this enthusiasm was going to be short-lived because on August 10th, 1945, his plane was shot down and he was killed in the crash.
That's so sad.
Which is like another traumatic event in her
and she's
life.
20.
Yeah. Now, following Gordon's death, Elizabeth found work as a waitress again, but within a few months, she decided she didn't want to stay in Florida, and she returned home to Medford, Massachusetts. There, she found work in a local movie theater, and when she was back home, she really didn't feel like settled or satisfied like she thought she was going to feel. She thought she was going to feel some kind of comfort. She really didn't.
Yeah.
She didn't love it here.
It's a hard time, too, to figure out what you're doing in your early 20s, I think, and figure out where you want to be.
Yeah. And she was moving back when we were just heading into winter over here. Not the best time to move back here.
No.
But yeah, she wasn't feeling that great. She knew she didn't feel really satisfied in Florida either. She was like, so neither one of these are working for me. So on April 17th, 1946, she packed up her few belongings and returned to California. This time she wanted to settle in Hollywood.
Okay.
By most accounts, it seemed like she struggled to find her footing in California for a while. According to Steve Hodel, Elizabeth was known to have lived as a transient at various boarding houses with a variety of roommates. She stayed at a hotel in Long Beach for several weeks during the summer months and then returned to Hollywood. There, once she got into Hollywood, she kind of bounced around a few times, staying at different places, and eventually she found an apartment where she lived with 7 other young women. Which,
wow.
Whoa. I give
That's
you
like
credit.
Ma, though. Ma lived with, like...
I know.
Didn't she live with, like, 4 other girls when she was in Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I think that was just, like, the
thing to
easiest
do.
way to make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived with a bunch of our friends in Quincy, so I can't really...
Yeah, it's kind of... I feel like that's, like, the time that you do it.
Yeah, we were living with a lot of people, so...
Yeah.
Might as well. Before you have kids, before all that stuff. Now, during this time, Elizabeth was barely getting by on her wages from her job as a waitress at the Florentine Gardens nightclub. In a few weeks before her death, she had actually struggled to afford rent. She was really at her last few pennies.
So sad to think that, like, in her last days, she was struggling as much as she was.
Yeah. Her friend Ann Toth told detectives 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, she said she was going to Berkeley. But instead of going to Berkeley, she went to San Diego. And she said just before Christmas Day, she sent me a wire saying she was low on funds and asking me to send her $20. She had been gone about 3 weeks when I received another wire saying she was coming back and stating that a letter would follow. This is the last I heard of her. The letter never came.
Oh.
Yeah. Ann Toth may have never heard from her friend again, but Elizabeth did return to Los Angeles on January 9th. That evening, she was seen leaving the Olive Street entrance of the Biltmore Hotel. And this would be the last time anyone but her killer would see Elizabeth Short alive. Mm-hmm. Now, by 1947, people in Los Angeles had become pretty accustomed to seeing reports of violence in the press. But the story of Elizabeth Short's murder was truly unlike anything anybody had ever seen. The news of the discovery hit the papers that very afternoon and set off a media frenzy. And it's really due to what police historian Glyn Martin called, quote, the brutal, misogynistic, and ritual nature that the murder contained.
I mean, yeah.
Now, again, it's true. She hadn't just been murdered. She'd been mangled. She had been mutilated. I mean, she had been posed. She had been humiliated by being left naked and exposed like that. There was clear evidence of what a Los Angeles Times reporter called, quote, an orgy of torture.
Yeah.
That is honestly as kind of like crass as that sounds, it is exactly what it seems to have happened here.
Yeah, no,
But again, pretty
probably
crass.
a better way to say it.
Pretty crass. Adding to the sensationalism, the members of the press were quick to emphasize the sexual undertones of the crime, labeling the killer as, quote, a sex maniac and a sex fiend, which
I guess you can somewhat understand because she
why
was
are
found
you focusing on only that?
Yeah, you shouldn't be focusing on only that. But I can understand why they were saying he might have been.
I can understand that they're saying there's a very big sexual aspect of this crime, a very sadistic sexual aspect of this crime.
Hyper focusing on
but
it.
like, my friends, she was also drained of blood, bisected, and given
a Glasgow smile.
Like, I don't think we should focus on one aspect of this.
Yeah, we should focus on all of it.
But as was common at the time, journalists and law enforcement were kind of like intertwined in each other's work. And the press would really play, just like the last couple of cases we've covered, play a big role in this case, particularly when it came to shaping how the public viewed the victim and viewing the potential killer. Once the victim was identified as Elizabeth Short, the story really picked up some more steam, thanks in part to she was beautiful. And she was very mysterious.
She was.
So it lent itself very well to the time and people wanting to start salacious rumors and like dig into people's pasts and I think she was dating all these men. Apparently she dated a lot of guys.
Yeah, you're in your early 20s and you're living in Los Angeles. Of course you're dating around.
She's beautiful, she's mysterious, she's, trying to find her footing there. Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Who cares? The story quickly became what Martin called, quote, a sad cliche, the ultimate warning tale. Elizabeth Short had come to Hollywood to become an actress, but like so many young women before her, she'd only found disappointment, struggle, and ultimately death.
Hollywood is fucking cursed, man.
It is. Now, within days of the discovery, the press began referring to Short as the Black Dahlia. It was a reference to Elizabeth's, she apparently loved the flower, the dahlia, and she wore one in her hair often. And she also wore a lot of black clothing, and she had jet black hair.
Right.
So it's a very good nickname for sure, because it's mysterious. It's got
sticks with you.
It's got for the press, it's a really smart one that they picked because it's like we said, mysterious. It's easy to remember, and it's got this like sexy kind of undertone to it. So they were really like going with what they were trying to wrap up here.
Gonna sell papers.
Exactly. It's also possible, though, that they were influenced by the popular noir film, The Blue Dahlia, which was released the previous year. I'm sure it was like
Probably
a mix
both
of them. Regardless of where the name came from, it definitely added to the sensationalism and mysterious tone of the case. And like we said, that's the reason why it's part of the reason why it has so much notoriety today, is that when it's easy.
Getting scared is one thing. Getting a thrill is, well, you want more of those in your life. The Genesis GV70 is built to thrill, baby. A thrilling yet elegant design always makes driving the GV70 an exciting adventure. Its powerful athletic stance screams performance and turns heads. Everybody's looking at you, girl, or boy, or whoever. Command the road and experience a class-leading standard 300 horsepower. Oh my God. Plus, discover the different dynamic drive modes for all different terrains. Choose between the different terrain modes for whatever road conditions you may encounter. The Genesis GV70's award-winning technology and performance lets you drive with comfort and drive with confidence all at the same time. It's an exciting SUV with intuitive tech that can make your ride smooth even when the road isn't. And its blind spot cameras allow you to see what's next to you. It's like having eyes on the side of your head. That's pretty iconic. Its performance, by the way, is measured not only in power, but in how it makes you feel confident, sexy. The Genesis GV70. Learn more at genesis.com and feel the GV70. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. Let's talk about bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, and it doesn't have to be that way. But with SoFi's high-yield checkings and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit. No account or overdraft fees. We love transparency. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, plus get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at sofi.com/morbid. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply.
Easy to remember the name of the case, the Black Dahlia murder. It's easy to reference, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, and again, like you said, it's going to sell more papers, which means it's going to sell more books, which means it's going to be something people want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just a catchy name. It really is. So like the crime scene itself, the canvas of the neighborhood offered really few clues to guide the investigation. One local man, Bob Meyer, told detectives he'd seen a late 1930s model Ford sedan stop in front of the lot around 6:30 a.m. that day. And he said he lingered near the area where the body was found before driving away. But he couldn't recall any of the other details.
That's weird.
To me, that seems like somebody who's dropping off a body.
Yep.
Fortunately for detectives, the identification of the victim offered several new leads because now we could start connecting people to her. So they started with her mother, Phoebe, and they talked to her.
Oh, poor Phoebe.
I know. Investigators set out to learn everything they could about Elizabeth with Phoebe in the hope that something in her background would help lead them to her killer. Phoebe actually learned of her daughter's death when she received a call from a Los Angeles Examiner, which was soon confirmed by LAPD detectives.
That's
so she found
awful.
out in an awful way. According to Phoebe, Elizabeth traveled to San Diego a few weeks before her death and had found work with the Naval Hospital there. She said she left Hollywood because of the movie strike, which made it difficult to get work as an extra. Phoebe didn't know why her daughter had returned to Los Angeles on the night of her disappearance, and she really couldn't offer any insight. Now, given the sexual undertones of the murder, the investigation definitely turned to Elizabeth's romantic life. According to her mother, Phoebe, Elizabeth's only serious relationship was with Matt Gordon, the Air Force pilot who she planned to marry. Other than Matt Gordon, Phoebe Short knew really no other serious relationships that Elizabeth had been in before her death. Her mother didn't know about serious relationships, but her friends and roommates definitely were like, she definitely had some relationships, but not serious.
Yeah, she's dating around.
Yeah. According to Los Angeles Times article filed shortly after her death, she was known among her friends as, quote, a girl with a different boyfriend every night.
Good for her.
Good for her. Several roommates and others who knew her claimed she had a fondness for sailors and often visited the nightclubs where soldiers were known to visit.
That was so of the time.
Of the time.
Can I just say, I fucking love that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's great.
The aesthetic of that time.
That's the thing, the aesthetic.
The aesthetic, but not what the vibe of what was happening.
No,
but like the
obviously not.
aesthetic of the time is for sure.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, it really is. And her former roommate, Linda Rohr, said she was always going out and she loved to prowl the boulevard.
Let's go, girl.
Let's go, girls. In their interviews with those closest to her, investigators learned of several men they believe could have played a role in her death. Of the men Short had dated, investigators were very interested in one boyfriend who Elizabeth had confessed to friends she was, quote, deadly afraid of.
Oh.
According to Elizabeth's former coworker, Cheryl Mayland, there was a, quote, tall, sinister, elderly man who approached her at a bar where she works a few weeks earlier and asked about Miss Short's whereabouts. And Maylong thought it was possible that he could have been responsible for her death.
Oh, wow.
Other roommates told detectives about a radio announcer with a British accent named Maurice, whom they had heard Elizabeth talk about a few weeks before her death, but they didn't know anything else about him. And I was like, some of these guys, you're like, wow, I feel bad for you.
I know.
They're just like, that guy
He's
that
like, I
she
just went
talked
out
about
on a date with her.
Yeah, he's like, ugh. There were other mostly unnamed men who came up early in the investigation, including a man in Beverly Hills who had offered to pay Elizabeth's rent, and another in San Bernardino who asked her to move in with him. But those tips really went nowhere.
Yeah.
They weren't involved. They were just trying to get with her. So and then we have a lead detective on the case telling reporters she probably went too far this time and just sent some guy into a blind berserk rage.
That's nice.
And he called her a tease.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's her fault.
What was she wearing?
To which I asked that man, so how many women have you chopped in half because they supposedly teased you?
Jesus Christ,
You
sir.
fucking psychopath.
Truly. Like, what the
Who says that?
What are men?
What kind of
Some,
blind...
not all of them, but what are some men?
What kind of blind berserk rage makes you do that? Drain the blood from someone and perform a highly complex surgical procedure?
What a dumb thing to say.
Like, he probably went into a blind berserk rage and then went to medical school real quick and learned how to do that. Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard someone say.
That's not a blind rage, my friend.
That's a shameful
She was
statement.
tortured.
That's a shameful statement for so many layers. One, oh, okay, it's her fault.
Yup.
She's a tease. And two, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
That's just a dumb statement.
Don't be silly like that.
Don't be fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't.
Don't be a
He
dumb
already
bitch.
was, though.
Where were you? What was...
On the rewatch. Or
Yeah,
no,
was that
on Scream.
Scream.
Yeah.
You're in a place of dumb bitch lately.
I am. Some people-
And that
it's-
guy's being a dumb bitch.
It feels like 2025 is just bringing out the dumb bitches. I don't know what it is.
we were so hopeful.
We were. But you know what? It's okay. It's still great.
Yeah.
In some ways. In like one. One way, sure.
Yeah, or another.
Yeah, one way or another. But yeah, go listen to Scream if you want to.
Hey.
You know?
Anyway.
But yeah, that was
Pass that
that was a
dumbass.
dumb bitch thing to say. Among the more promising leads, though, was a tip from another former boyfriend, Joseph Fickling, who she met in California in 1944. Like Matt Gordon, Fickling was a former Air Force pilot living in North Carolina, and the two had been writing back and forth as recently as Elizabeth's time in San Diego.
Oh, shit.
So very, very, like, recent to when she died.
Yep.
Fickling told detectives she told me not to write her anymore at San Diego and that she was in Chicago, or just she was going to Chicago, excuse me.
Oh.
In April 1947, Fickling started to suspect he was only one of Elizabeth's romantic interests.
Well, listen.
And that her expression of love for him might have been disingenuous. He wrote in April to her, "You say in your letter you want us to be good friends, but from your wire you seem you want more than that." So she was just like playing the field of her.
She said, I don't know.
She said, I don't know, I'm like 20.
I don't know. I'm like 22
Get outta
right
here.
now.
Now, based on the letters between them that investigators discovered among Elizabeth's belongings, Fickling's confusion and Elizabeth's ambivalence eventually led to the end of their relationship.
Yeah.
He wrote in one letter, "In your letter, you mentioned a ring from Matt. You gave no further explanation. I really don't understand. I wouldn't want to interfere."
Okay, well, he seems respectful.
He does. Like, that's a pretty respectful thing to say. Like, hey, you just mentioned that another guy gave you an engagement ring, so, like, I don't want to interfere in that. I'm gonna
bow out. Yeah.
The letters indicate that Elizabeth had told Fickling about her proposed marriage to Matt Gordon, but failed to mention that Gordon had died 2 years earlier.
Okay.
That's an interesting play.
It sounds like she didn't want a lot from this man's
Yeah.
romantically, and that was the best way to go about it, to let him down easy.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like
You
that.
know?
Yeah. In an interview with Charlotte, North Carolina detectives, Fickling said he'd last heard from Elizabeth in a letter dated January 8th, 1947, the night she left San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And he hadn't heard from her since. And given that he was on the other side of the country when she was killed, he was quickly ruled out as a suspect. But they just got like a little more insight into what was going on in her life, I guess. A few days into their investigation, detectives learned that when she returned from San Diego, Elizabeth had been traveling in the company of, quote, an unidentified red-haired man. On January 20th, detectives picked up 25-year-old Robert Manley, a salesman the press described as, quote, slender, neatly dressed man with carrot-hued hair.
Not carrot.
Not carrot-hued.
Not carrot top over here.
And he was believed to have been with Elizabeth on the night she disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Manley admitted to police that he had casually dated Elizabeth since first meeting a few weeks before Christmas, and that he had dropped her off at the Biltmore the night she disappeared. But he flatly denied having anything to do with her murder. He told detectives, my wife and I had some misunderstandings.
I guess so.
I thought I'd make a little test to see if I were still in love with my wife. So he picked up Elizabeth at a nightclub and they hit it off.
First of all,
babe, that's not how you
super
found
disrespectful to your wife.
Yeah.
Super disrespectful to Elizabeth to be a part of a fucking test unknowingly.
Yep.
And third of all, fuck off.
Yeah. Fuck you. You know what your hair is? Carrot hued.
Okay,
I'm
ginger.
sure. All right.
Okay, no soul.
All right.
Yours is died. You have a soul.
Like, whatever. According to Manley, he picked Elizabeth up at a Pacific Beach motel on January 8th and drove her back to Los Angeles. But he had not connected Elizabeth with the stories in the papers, and thus he did not come forward to the police.
I don't know about that, my friend.
I don't know.
Sounds like you were doing another test to see
I
if
don't
law
know.
enforcement would contact you.
Well, investigators were also unconvinced by this.
Yeah.
And they asked Manley to take a polygraph examination, and he agreed.
Okay.
But after the long drive from San Diego and many hours of intense questioning by police, he couldn't keep from falling asleep during the exam, and it was postponed.
That's giving rude. That's giving.
That's giving what?
That's giving. Sir, how do you fall asleep under these circumstances?
Yeah, adrenaline would be shooting me into the Kuiper belt.
I mean, who
So
knows how
I
long
can't-
they were questioning
Like, damn.
him, but that had to, if it wasn't for like at least 12 hours, open your eyes.
Well, and the thing is, here's the thing. He was very forthcoming with information, regardless of falling asleep during the polygraph.
he was very forthcoming when he was conscious.
Yeah, when he was conscious, he was forthcoming with information. And he told police the last time he'd seen Elizabeth, he noticed several scratches on her upper arms.
Huh.
And she attributed to them to an intensely jealous boyfriend.
Ooh.
And she described him as an Italian with black hair who lived in San Diego.
Okay.
So we're like, who's that guy?
Yeah, who is him?
So although he appeared to be telling the truth, Manley's story was inconsistent with other statements gathered by police, particularly that of William Sullivan, a railway express clerk who claimed to have seen Elizabeth on January 14th. According to Sullivan, quote, a woman resembling Short visited the office about noon on January 14th, accompanied by a red-haired man, and inquired about shipping a trunk and some suitcases to Ketchikan Hospital. When asked to whom the items were being shipped, the woman said to herself and gave the name Elizabeth Short.
Okay.
The same couple was seen about an hour later by Jadelle Gray, a waitress at a cafe in San Diego. Gray described the man as, quote, very fair complexioned, and said his hair was quite straight and he was slightly freckled.
Okay.
Sounds like a ginger to me. Based on these witness identifications, Manley was beginning to look like a pretty strong suspect.
He sure was.
But the following day, Sullivan admitted to detectives that he had been mistaken in his identification of Manley, and in fact did not believe it was the same person. Sullivan changed his story when police told him that another young woman matching Short's description had come forward to say she had been at the express office with her red-haired boyfriend on January 14th.
Oh, shit.
When he was shown a picture of the woman, he immediately recognized her as the one person he'd seen that night. And remember, he said that she used her name.
Yeah.
So he just lied.
Oh, what the hell?
Like, what the fuck? And with Sullivan's identification now recanted, the mystery of the red-haired man proved to be a dead end, and Captain Jack Donahue ordered Robert Manley released from custody immediately.
All right.
Now, only 1 week into the investigation, detectives who had been certain the key to finding Elizabeth's killer was in her love life had now begun to accept the boyfriend angle was probably a dead end.
Yeah, it seems
They weren't
like
going to
it.
find him in there. And that is where we are going to end for part 1.
You butthead.
Because we have some real suspects coming in part 2.
I know who they are.
And it's going to get crazy. The story just gets wilder as you go.
Yeah, this is a wild case.
Yeah.
I got a 99.9% opinion.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we will definitely talk about that in part 2. And yeah,
In the meantime, we hope you keep listening.
and we hope you
Keep
it
weird, but not so weird that you lie to the police about your whereabouts or test your fucking wife in any way.
Yeah, fuck
Don't
that
test
shit.
me.
And don't call the victim a tease.
Oh, why I oughta, fucker. Why I oughta.
Traditional home security only alerts you after a break-in, and that's too late. Simply Safe is changing that.
Stop. This is Simply Safe. Police are on the way.
We don't just alert, we stop crime before it starts. Simply Safe, plan starting around $1 a day. Save 50% on your new system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/SXM or with promo code SXM.
Outdoor deterrence requires a Simply Safe Active Guard outdoor protection plan starting at $49.99 a month. Visit simplysafe.com/licenses for alarm license information. Tennessee 2012.
You wouldn't take financial advice from a 72 hours in a single day alpha influencer, would you? Same goes if you're in a car accident or any accident. Who you choose matters. That's why Morgan & Morgan exists. They're the largest injury law firm in America, and they've built a reputation by actually winning cases, not just talking about it. Over 1,000 lawyers across all 50 states and $30 billion recovered. Injured? Go to forthepeople.com/podcast. That's forthepeople.com/podcast.